Part 1. The Cleaning Contract. I thought the job would be easy. Mop floors, empty bins, get paid. Then I saw the rule in bold letters on my contract. Do not enter room 313 after midnight. No explanation. Just that. On my third night, the clock hit 12. And down the hall, that door was open. Not just open, glowing. Light spilling out, humming softly like it was alive. My supervisor once told me, if that door's open, you close it. You don't look inside. After 2 months of unemployment, I took what I could get. Marlowe Industries, night cleaner, good pay, no co-workers. Just me and the hum of fluorescent lights. The building was old, cold, and too quiet. 12 floors, endless cubicles, and the smell of old paper. Owens, my supervisor, was a heavy-set man with tired eyes. He slid a thick contract across the table on my first night. 15 pages of safety rules and cleaning protocols, but only one was bolded. Room 313. Do not enter after midnight. When I laughed and asked if it was a joke, Owens didn't blink. You'll never need to go there, he said. If the door's open, close it. Don't look inside. Ever. He stared at me a second too long. I nodded, pretending not to care. But it stuck with me. That kind of warning does. For 2 nights, the job was peaceful. I'd listen to music, sweep empty offices, and drink terrible coffee to stay awake. But every night, the elevator would skip the 3rd floor unless I pressed the button twice. And every night, the hallway camera labeled 313 stayed black. On the 3rd night, the elevator stopped by itself on floor 3. The lights flickered, and that smell, burnt plastic mixed with something metallic, hit me. Down the hallway, every door was shut except one. Room 313. It shouldn't have been open. A dull white light poured across the carpet, too bright, too steady. And beneath it, a low hum that almost sounded like breathing. I called Owens on the radio. Static, then a faint voice. Close it. Don't touch anything inside. Just close the door. I froze. Is there someone in there? I asked. No response, only heavy breathing, then silence. I should have left. I really should have. But I stepped closer. Curiosity feels like gravity. You fight it, but it pulls you in anyway. Inside, the walls were smooth and curved, shining like wet plaster. No desks, no vents, no lights. And in the center, a black pedestal with something resting on top. A name badge. Mine. Same logo, same position, same uniform. But the photo wasn't me. I slammed the door. The light disappeared instantly. The hum stopped. When I turned around, every other door in the hallway was open. I told Owens I felt sick and left early. He didn't argue. The next evening, he found me in the supply closet before my shift. You went near it, didn't you? He asked quietly. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. He sighed and said, Room 313 wasn't built by us. It's older than the rest of the building. It shows up when it wants to. We just maintain around it. What's inside? He looked past me toward the hallway. His eyes were red and wet. It copies. Objects, sometimes people. If you see yourself in there, you run, and then he walked away, without another word. That night, Owens didn't clock out. His car was still in the lot when I left. The next morning, HR told me he'd been transferred. No one else seemed to know who he was. When I checked the employee list, his name wasn't there. The week after Owens vanished, I started hearing things through the vents. Whispers that almost formed words. Sometimes my name. Then came the noise. The soft hum from that night, echoing faintly every time I passed the elevator. One night, just before midnight, I saw something impossible on the security feed. The camera for room 313 flickered back to life. The hallway outside was empty, except for someone standing at the end, wearing my uniform, staring straight at the camera, grinning. I spun around in my chair and ran to the elevator. The hallway was empty, every door closed except one. The light from 313 pulsed softly, breathing in and out. Inside, the pedestal was gone. In its place stood a mirror, floor to ceiling, framed in metal. My reflection lagged half a second behind. When I lifted my hand, it followed late. Then it smiled. I didn't. I stumbled back, but the reflection stepped forward. Its lips moved, whispering something I couldn't hear until it did. You shouldn't have looked. The mirror rippled like water. The glow flared white, then everything went dark. I woke up in the janitor's office. The lights were on. The sun was rising. HR called me in an hour later. Owen's replacement, a woman named Ms. Hale, greeted me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Mr. Owens left unexpectedly," she said. "We're updating your contract." The new contract was shorter, no mention of room 313. When I asked about it, she tilted her head. "Which room?" I checked the floor directory on the wall. There was no third floor listed anymore. The elevator skipped from 2 to 4. That should have been enough to quit. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I drove back, used my old key card, pressed 3 twice in the elevator. It stopped. The hallway was there, silent, spotless, waiting. Room 313's door was open. Inside, the mirror stood again. My reflection stared back, perfect, calm. Then it spoke. "You're late." The surface rippled. The reflection stepped out, and everything went black. They found the janitor's cart the next morning. Badge on top, mop bucket half full. A week later, a new job listing appeared online. Night cleaner, good pay, minimal supervision. The rule about room 313 was back. Only this time, it didn't say, "Do not enter." It said, "If the door is open, let him out." Part 2, the anonymous survey. When the company emailed me the employee wellness survey, I almost deleted it. I mean, who actually fills those out, right? But the message said mandatory. And below that, answer truthfully. Your safety depends on it, said first. The questions were harmless. Sleep habits, workload, job satisfaction. Then they got personal. What did you dream about last night? What have you hidden from everyone at work? And the last one made my stomach drop. Why did you lie about what happened in the basement? I've never been in the basement. I started working at Parker & Sons Logistics 3 months ago. The pay was decent, the hours long, and the co-workers mostly ghosts behind their cubicles. The company loved its efficiency culture. Every week there was a new survey, performance reviews, self-assessments, pointless forms that no one read. So when the employee wellness survey arrived in my inbox, I didn't think much of it, except this one didn't come from HR. The sender was listed as wellness@parker-secure.net. I'd never seen that address before. The email body was short and weirdly direct. This assessment is required for continued employment. Please answer all questions truthfully. Failure to comply may result in immediate review. At the bottom was a countdown timer, 002359, ticking down by the second. I clicked the link. The survey looked plain. White background, company logo at the top. The first questions were typical. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your job? Do you feel supported by your supervisors? I clicked through lazily. Then came, have you ever taken company property without permission? I frowned. It didn't say optional. I hit no, and the next question loaded instantly. What about the notebook? My hand froze on the mouse. I had taken one, an empty spiral bound from the supply closet. Nothing serious. I'd used it to jot down break schedules. I laughed nervously and clicked, "I don't know what you mean." The screen flickered for a second. Then the next question appeared. You left it in your desk drawer, correct? The timer in the corner ticked down, 001412. I looked around my cubicle, half expecting someone to pop out and say it was a prank. But the office was silent, just the low hum of computers. I typed, "Yes." "How do you know that?" The screen paused for 3 seconds, then displayed, "We see what you choose to keep." I tried to close the tab. No response. Alt plus F4. Escape. Nothing worked. The next question loaded on its own. Do you hear them in the basement? My heart skipped. I didn't even know there was a basement. Then came another. Have you ever gone down there after hours? I typed no, but it wouldn't submit. The screen flashed red. Lying detected. Rephrase your answer. I stared, confused, then typed again. No, I've never been there. The timer ticked down to 0 hours, 8 minutes, and 41 seconds. The next message wasn't a question. It was a command. Check the stairwell. I turned in my chair. The hallway outside my cubicle was empty. The overhead lights buzzed faintly. At the far end, next to the elevators, a door stood open, one I'd never noticed before. A narrow stairwell descended into darkness. I stood up slowly, heart thudding. I told myself it was a coincidence, maybe maintenance, maybe a janitor. But curiosity gnawed at me. I grabbed my phone flashlight and stepped inside. The concrete steps went down farther than they should have, 3 floors at least. At the bottom was a heavy metal door marked Archives. It was slightly open. Inside were rows of shelves stacked with identical gray boxes, each labeled with an employee's name. I found mine on the second row. Inside was a black notebook, the one I'd taken. But the pages weren't blank anymore. They were filled with transcripts, word-for-word records of everything I'd said in the past week. Conversations, phone calls, even things I'd whispered to myself. My mouth went dry. I flipped to the last page. It said, "He's in the basement now." He found his file. 0 hours, 3 minutes, 22 seconds remaining. I looked at the timer on my phone, the same countdown from the survey website. Then a new sound filled the air, the low, static hum of a speaker coming to life. "Thank you for completing your assessment," a voice said. "Proceed to your station for final review." I bolted upstairs. When I burst back into the office, the lights were off. My computer was on, glowing faintly. A new message waited on the screen. Final question. Why did you lie about what happened in the basement? I typed furiously. I didn't lie. I don't know what this is. The screen glitched. The timer hit 00:00:00. Everything went black. Then a new window opened. It was a live camera feed, me sitting at my desk, typing. Behind me, the open stairwell door. Someone was walking up. I turned in my chair just as the feed froze. The figure behind me leaned close to the camera and whispered something I couldn't hear. Then the monitor flickered off. They found my desk empty the next morning. Computer wiped, chair knocked over. The only thing left was a sticky note on the keyboard. In red ink, it said, "Survey complete. Candidate replaced. A new hire started the following week." She got the same email on her first day. Part 3. The elevator that skips a floor. Every day, the elevator in our office jumps from 6 to 8. Nobody talks about it. The button for 7 is there, it just doesn't light up. Press it, nothing happens. But last night, I stayed late. And when I pressed 6 and 7 together, the doors closed, the lights flickered, and the elevator started moving down. When it stopped, the screen said, Level 7, restricted access. The doors opened, and the hallway on the other side was still lit. Only the desks were already filled. With us. I'd worked at Grayvale Financial for almost 2 years. Same morning coffee, same white shirts, same gray faces staring at monitors until midnight. Nothing ever changed, except the elevator. Every floor worked fine, except 7. We'd joke about it sometimes. Lucky number 7, someone would say, pressing the button like it was a ritual. It never lit up. When I asked maintenance, the guy said, "No 7th floor here, man." Building goes straight from 6 to 8, I laughed. I'd seen the gap between buttons. I'd felt the elevator pause for a second between floors. There was something there. Still, I forgot about it until overtime week. That Thursday, everyone left early except me. Quarter-end reports had to be finished, and I didn't want another lecture from my supervisor, Halloran. By 11 p.m., the building was dead quiet. The cleaning crew's carts were gone. Even the vending machines sounded louder. I pressed the elevator button, half asleep. Inside, the panel glowed softly. 1 through 8, and the Phantom 7. Out of boredom, I pressed both 6 and 7 together. The doors slid shut with a low mechanical groan, deeper than usual. The numbers flickered. 5, 6. Then the lights dimmed. A long pause. The screen glitched. 7, restricted access. The doors opened with a hiss. The hallway looked like the rest of Grayvale. Gray carpet, white walls, cubicles stretching forever, except everything was off. The air was colder, thicker, like walking underwater. And every desk had a nameplate. Names I recognized. My co-workers. Halloran's desk, same coffee mug, same stress ball. But when I looked inside, the computer was on, running a spreadsheet identical to mine. Same formulas, same cell highlighting, even the same typo in cell C27. The timestamp read, tomorrow's date. Down the hall, I heard keyboards clacking, dozens of them, though I couldn't see anyone. Monitors flickered in unison, loading something. Then, one by one, the screens filled with security footage. Live feeds of the real office above, including my empty cubicle. I turned to leave. The elevator doors were gone. The hallway lights buzzed louder. At the far end, an elevator dinged. From it stepped a man in a gray suit. Halloran only, not quite. His movements were slow, mechanical, too smooth. His eyes didn't blink. "You shouldn't be here," he said flatly. "This level is for replacements." Behind him, more figures appeared. Copies of my co-workers, faces slightly distorted, skin too pale. They walked in perfect sync, fanning out across the hallway. I backed away, bumping into a cubicle wall. The monitor there displayed a form titled Employee Termination Schedule. Next to my name, effective date, tonight. The figures stopped 5 meters away. Halloran, or whatever it was, tilted his head. "Report complete," he said. "Retrieve template." The lights cut out. When I woke up, I was in the elevator again. The panel glowed softly. 8. The doors opened to my usual floor, the real one. Everything looked normal, except the clock said 6 a.m., and my computer was already on. On the screen was an email from HR. "Welcome to Grayvale Financial. We're glad to have you back, I whispered. The monitor camera light blinked once, then stayed on. In the reflection, the elevator behind me was still open, and inside stood me, holding a briefcase, smiling. The doors slid shut. They found a broken elevator panel the next day. Maintenance said there was never a level 7, no wiring, no blueprints, nothing. But every night around midnight, the elevator stops between 6 and 8 for exactly 15 seconds. If you stand close enough, you can hear typing, and sometimes a voice whispering names from the employee list.